when I was in the state prison.
Got it.
And man, what a great, yeah.
Yeah, it meant so much to him. And it's like, man, just being in there, it's like, man, you just want them to leave so bad. So,
Yeah.
God.
I remember
Oh,
leaving and all the little kids would be crying and I'm like, you're doing exactly what all of us want to do right now.
I know. I
George,
remember
you
all
ready to get this rolling?
Yeah, I've been rolling. The conversation was too good at the beginning there to not start rolling.
Nice.
So, Adam, take us into the show.
All right. Welcome to Gritability, a podcast about the power of perseverance, overcoming seemingly insurmountable odds to attain the life of your dreams. I am your podcast host, Adam Clausen. With me is the beautiful and extraordinary Ro Clausen.
Good morning. I'm really excited for this episode.
Yes, we have an amazing guest with us today, coming to us via Zoom, David Carpenter. Man, on the way in here today, we were reading through, Ro and I were going through your bio, like getting the highlights. My God. Amazing, brother. Amazing. Like, we are so excited to have you on here. Know that you have an incredible story. I want to hit a couple of those highlights, though, as we were, coming in. First of all, because I know a little bit about your background, that's why I'm like, man, this guy is doing it. Last 6 years, you've been on a ton of podcasts, like the who's who of podcasts. So we're grateful to have you here with us as well.
grateful too. Thank you.
Man, you're leading a team of over 200 plus insurance agents. That's a
Yes.
big team, right?
Thank you for getting there.
Getting there. Keep it growing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
A ton of awards here. Sales, 6 million in sales for 21. Leadership council for the company. What really got both Ro and I, like, touched us the most was what you've been able to do for your family, for your parents. Man, bought your mom her dream house. Like, isn't that every child's dream? Like, to be able to do that for your parents, paid off all of her debt and her car, and bought your dad his dream car too.
Yeah, that was a day he got out of prison too. He would talk about it, his hair blowing in the wind.
Oh my God.
So when I picked him up, he got out, and I took him into the car. We had it parked in the nearest gas station. I have a video on my Instagram, and I just remember him looking at the car like it was far back there, and he was like, "That's my car, David." He's like, "That's my car." And it was the one he would always talk about, the silver Camaro drop top. And I did it one up him. I got him the SS, and then he got out of the gas station, and man, he sees the car pull up, and I was like, man, this is yours. And he just like broke down. It was one of the most amazing moments of my life.
I'm ready to break down right now. That's incredible.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can only imagine. She picked me up from prison with a car packed, ready to go, start a new life.
Man.
But I can only imagine what that was like. Man, what a gift.
Yeah, that was really a gift for me more than him. And as you know, when you're in there, there's so many people that abandon them and forget about them, and they don't, love them the same, or they look down on them. And at first it was a lot of hurt and pain and stuff like that. And like, I got more mature, and I realized that, wow, if he wasn't there, I probably wouldn't be the person I am today. And I'm thankful that he's alive. Right. And I decided to build that relationship later. And when I had that shift, he became a big part of my why, to show him love unconditionally, because I want that eventually for me, because I'm a screw up. I'm just as like, I could have been there so many times. So changing that perspective really brought me so much joy. And to do that for him was like kind of just a staple on top. And I continuously bless my family. And I feel like that has a lot to do with, why I'm blessed too, is I feel like the giver is the most blessed out of all.
Wow. What a way to look at that too, because as the child or a family member, but especially a child of somebody who's incarcerated, it is so easy and almost understandable to become so resentful towards that person. So the fact that you spun that so positive, oh my God, what a lesson for all of us. How old were you when your father went away?
Thank you. I was 16, so on my 16th birthday, so I was turning 16. And the day of my birthday, I find out that my dad was going to be in prison for 10 years.
Oh,
And
God.
man, he's like just called me and he was like, "Hey, David, I'm going to be gone for a very long time. You're the man of the house. You take
Wow.
care of your mom, take care of your sister, and I'll give you some more information later." And that was the phone call I received. And I was just like, didn't even know what to think or to say. I was in shock. And I became a little angry because I felt like he abandoned us. And there was a lot to that story. But yeah, that was a really painful, shocking moment in my life that grew me up very, very quickly, which also led to who I am today and why I feel like I've been able to have a lot of the success I've been able to have.
I'd really like to talk a little bit about that period if you're comfortable, because
Yeah.
the statistics are so weighted against someone that has a parent who's incarcerated. Those children are 3 times as likely to end up caught in that same cycle. And as you said, man, you
It's
had some
true, man.
mistakes as young men. We all make mistakes,
Yeah.
but clearly you were able to figure out a way to navigate it. And what I heard you say was find a way to grow stronger and become the person you are today as a result. So tell us, at 16, where does that start? Like, how does that process begin for you?
It's a great question. Well, I didn't really have like the role models around me because at that time, I have my people I grew up with was my oldest brother who's passed away when he was 28. I'm 28 years old now.
Mm.
And he ended up dying due to an drug overdose. I had my cousin I grew up with, he's in prison for life. I had my other cousin I grew up with, he's in prison now. Like, and then I have my dad in prison. So I had this
Wow.
example of like what I did not want my future to look like. And I had a desire, I played sports, and thankfully I had, that really kept me on track. Is like, I feel like sports, that was my outlet. I was in the gym all day long. And I feel like if I didn't have that outlet, I wouldn't be here. And God plays a big role in my life as well. And just, I guess really caring and loving my mom and my sister and knowing that I have to be a great example. And I don't know how this is going to work out. Thinking in that moment, I don't know what's going to happen, but I just accepted the responsibility instead of being a victim. I said, you know what, like I need to be the change in my family. I need to be the only guy, right? The only male to end up doing something with his life. I want to give back to my mom and my sister, make sure that I keep my word and I take care of them.
Is that not the definition of gritability? Wow.
My God. Yeah, that is absolutely amazing to have those thoughts at such an early age, to take on that responsibility. That's a lot. And man, I applaud you for that. Exactly what Rose said. Like these are the stories that we're looking for, because you have definitely defied the odds, continue to do it. Talking about those things that had the greatest influence. I know for myself as well, having a foundation in sports, athletics, that helped give me a reference point, I guess, for my personal ability, put me in those positions, down 10 with under a minute to go. Like, when you've been in those situations, you're like, I know how to come back. I know how to defy the odds. So what did that background look like for you? Where did those athletics come into play?
Yeah, I feel like athletes, they have emotional intelligence, like you're talking about there, is you can go through pain and you got to keep going because there's still your team needs you, right? So being on a team, you realize that it's bigger than you. And I think that's great principles. I think the discipline you create when you're an athlete is wonderful. The mindset behind having to push yourself past your limit at times, especially when you're training, all of that played a big role. And it also gives you the ability to have a vision and dream. dream of championships, dream of going to the next level, dreaming of being an NBA player and being able to visualize that and being around a team where everyone's feeling the same way and wants a better future and wants to improve themselves. So there's so many dynamics there that are so important, even when you get out of sports. And I recommend sports for everyone. I mean, even if they're not even great, just from the principles that you're going to learn. And I think a lot of those helped me stay focused, being around the right crowd, taught me the right principles, taught me a lot that carried on to the rest of my life, including business, which is my sport now.
Haha, I love that.
Oh my God, this is our language.
What do you got?
No, I'm just saying we say this all the time. I mean, I say something similar all the time, but I've just never been able to articulate it that well.
Absolutely. Sports, as I was saying, for me was instrumental in developing that mindset that I needed, to overcome those adversities. But what you said about teamwork too, which that's life, right? Life is about building those relationships, being able to rely on other people. And that's one of the places where you can learn those principles so quickly because it's like a cause and effect, right? And, when you're working with a team. What was your sport? What was that specific sport of choice? What's your favorite one?
So I played basketball was my sport. I did some football. I loved weightlifting, bodybuilding runs in my family too. So I loved the weight room. I was a better football player, I would say. I could have went farther, but my heart and my passion was playing basketball.
Okay.
Loved it, man. I got a basketball court in my backyard now, and it just brings me back. I go back there and shoot, and it's just like peace. Like nothing else matters. You're in the zone. You're putting up shots, and like you're clearing your mind. And so same thing with lifting weights as well. Is it's just like my place, my happy place. To get away from all the distractions and a lot that's going on.
I love this because what was it last week? I was sitting in the car because Adam wanted to go shoot around a basketball. And it was this like odd, dreary, rainy day in Las Vegas. And I just get to watch him from a distance doing exactly what you just said. So when you're in Vegas, I'm going to have to challenge you guys to a one-on-one against each other.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'd love to.
Or we can take on all comers. We'll
That's
play
right.
some 2-on-2. We'll get some other people out there too, right?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Man, just like you said, I love being out there, getting in that zone. For me, it's peace of mind. It was also, I remember early on, my introduction to visualization was a coach telling me, when you're at the line, see the ball going through the hoop, right? Follow through, see it going in. Yeah. And just on that small scale, learning to do that. And I didn't recognize it for what it was at the time. That simple exercise, allowed me over time to expand that to all other aspects of my life, to see myself, to see it happening. And man, isn't that the key, right? That's the key to visualization.
Yeah, I agree. So one thing I do every morning, and this is part of my routine, is I write out my goals present tense, and then I speak them out loud. And I allow myself to see it, visualize it, and bring in that emotion. Because when you focus on a thought for more than 10 seconds, you actually draw emotion, which is powerful in both negative and positive. So that's something I do every single morning is, again, it's like if there's like ranks and there's certain things I want to accomplish, I want to feel that, I want to embody it, I want to visualize it, because it gives you that certainty and belief, which is powerful, which you need to move and be able to act as if until, again, you go and achieve that goal.
That's an amazing practice. And we're always looking to hone in on those habits, practices, routines that make individuals like you so successful. Thank you for sharing that with us. That's definitely one that I want to start incorporating, because I too, I'm a big believer when you attach the emotion to it, you create that emotional state. Man, that's the key right there. Now, if you see the books behind us, Ro and I have read, I had the opportunity. I was in prison, right? That was the circumstance for me that allowed me to get so deep into these books, to learn, to study, to grow. What I'm hearing from you, I mean, where were you able to, how did you get introduced to this? Because what I'm hearing is, it's all those same practices, principles. You got those from somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very big into personal development myself. That's a part of my routine as well. I'm either listening to a podcast, I'm either listening to an audiobook, or I'm reading, and that's every single day. And then I have, I have my spiritual beliefs, like, I read the Bible too, every day too. So I make time for mind, body, spirit, which move the needle for me to get my state of being in a state where I know that I can overcome any challenge because I've filled myself up. I can pour out so much and I'm ready to take on any challenge. And yeah, the personal development, some of the books that have really impacted me is Think and Grow Rich. He talks about the desire. He talks about the sacrifice that it takes to be able to achieve. He talks about faith, right? The belief that you need. Some people take limited action because they have limited belief. So he talks about aligning yourself up with your desires and being able to take massive action to be able to achieve those. So that played a big role. Not Think and Grow Rich, but Rich Dad, Poor Dad got me into thinking of big business and scaling. And that was like a big realization that I wanted a big business. I wanted to scale. I wanted to build residual income and start to do things differently than just the 9 to 5. That played a big role. I love John C. Maxwell. I study a lot of his stuff. Ed Milet as well, on leadership for John C. Maxwell. Ed Milet for mindset. So those are some of the people I study often, and it's every day for the last 6 years. I'm reading, I'm listening to something, I'm growing and I'm growing in those 3 areas intentionally every single day.
Oh, those are our people. I love this. So tell us more about how you are able to use sports and that background and then all this
Yeah.
personal development into making you become such a successful business owner.
Yeah, the personal development in sports, again, I think it's success leaves clues. So the first part of achieving is the right proper thinking. So 90 people think it's like, oh, I need to learn this, I need to learn that. A lot of it is the mindset to achieve and to believe that you can do it first. Because again, limited thinking, limited belief. So the personal development gets you thinking properly. I believe as a man thinketh, so is he. So if you have big ideas, you're learning from other people that have what you want, and you just do what they do, it's going to save you a lot of time. I believe mentorship is the biggest key and secret to wealth, because all the information's out there. You just have to grasp it, you have to get it, and then you have to apply it, most importantly. But I think there's no excuse anymore to really getting to where you want to be in whatever industry that is, because there's books on it. There's the information that's out there. And for someone that really, really is hungry and passionate about changing their life, there it is. We have the internet, we have YouTube, we have books of people telling you exactly what they did to get where they're at. And I think that the personal development, that's like really what it is learning and taking little things every day and applying them that keep moving the needle. And then I think the sports is the mentality of doing the one more. Ed Milet talks about that. He has a book on it. I love that. Is being able to endure. I think success is a lot about just enduring a lot of crap. Like you're going to get a lot of problems thrown at you, a lot of no's, a lot of rejection, a lot of pain, a lot of things that aren't going to go your way. And you have to have that emotional intelligence to just make it one more day sometimes, to just not quit, on when it's tough, and to endure, because again, through that, your character is shaped, through that, your mindset's shaped, through that, you understand you can overcome all things to be able to get what you want later on in life. So those go hand in hand, and both of those, I think, are extremely important to where I'm at today.
Oh my God, I love this. So I'm so intrigued because, a lot of people, myself included, a lot of times we get stuck in the personal development and we don't move that forward in any way and continue. So, okay, so you're a kid, your
Just
dad's
there.
in prison. Yeah, I think so many of us have. And so you're a child, your dad's in prison, and you're avoiding becoming resentful towards him, and you know you have to go a different way. So I'm just curious, and for people who are listening, like, what was the next step? Did you go into the personal development first and then kind of do it hand in hand while you're building the business? What was that trajectory? What did that look like?
Great question. So it was sports. Once I realized that sports wasn't going to really work out for me, which again was probably a mindset back then because I didn't focus on personal development, by the way. So I wish I had personal development back then because it literally would have helped me so much in sports. So the transition of getting out of sports, I got into business and I got into network marketing, a network marketing company that I did up until I was about 21 years old. And it ended up falling through. I put so much time and energy. I'm talking, I was all in, and it just boom, crumbled. It wasn't the right vehicle. And I was extremely, obviously, discouraged. But again, the personal development, my faith and belief that I know that I don't know how it's going to happen, but I know why it's going to happen. And I'm just willing to do whatever it takes ethically, right? Morally for it to happen. That I had during this down period, and I'll kind of get into some stuff that really was pivotal in my life, was when that crashed. This was back in 2016. I had my girlfriend leave me for another guy that was making about $80,000 a year, but at the time I was making 30 as a waiter because that was my only thing because I lost my business. So she left me and I was seeking opportunities. I was looking in the mirror and said, okay, it's not what happens. It's what I do about what happens. It's my response to this. So how am I going to respond? How am I going to set myself up to be able to have, a wife that is like valuable because I need to increase my value. So I decided to get in shape. So I did a bodybuilding competition, a men's physique. Then I decided I needed to get my finances right. So, and I knew waiting tables wasn't going to do it for me. So I decided to look for opportunities. I got a message and this guy was telling me about the insurance opportunity. I decided to go in. I met my mentor and I decided to commit because he had what I wanted. I knew that key in life is to follow someone that has what you want, model yourself after them, and you got to do what they've done to get there. And you got to go through enough pain like they did to get there too, right? So committed. I failed my insurance exam 4 times, like failure after failure after failure after failure. That year, I was so broke, so broken, so like just depressed because nothing was going my way, but I was not going to give up. So I scheduled my exam hours away. This was my 5th try. The week before my exam, I remember I get a call. I have to go into the hospital, find out my brother had died in an accident. So the week before my exam, my 5th time, girlfriend had left me. I have to find out that I have to go to my brother's funeral, someone that I love and care about. It was very, very dark time in my life. And again, I was faced with the decision of, hey, do you continue on? Do you finish this and say one day, this is going to be a crazy story to tell? Or do you make an excuse and say, you know what, because of this is happening, I'm going to take some time and I'm just going to focus on myself and party, have fun and do all that. Thankfully, I was like, I'm going to dedicate this to my brother's life. So I shifted my mindset towards it. So that week, I remember I couldn't pay rent. My mom came over. I was so broken at the time. It was $450. And I look at my mom and I tell her, I'm never going to have to borrow money from you again. Like, I'm going to go past this exam. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to change our family's life. I'm going to take care of you. I promise. And she gave me money. She knew I didn't ask her for it. She knew how broken I was because she was just around me, and moms have that good instinct, right? So I take the money and I go down to the place where I was taking it, which was about 4 hours away, stay somewhere that night, get this. And I couldn't afford a hotel. So I went with a friend and we stayed this guy kind of knew this guy. The house I stayed in that night ended up getting broken into. The night before my exam, I was held at gunpoint with this guy in a clown mask and I had a shotgun in my head. Again, this is a week before that, my brother had died, girlfriend had left me, couldn't pay rent, just the most depressing year of my life. And guess what? I decided I was not going to quit. I went and took my exam, drove an hour away, no sleep, ended up passing it for an all commission based sales job. And that, little did I know, that built my mentality up so much that I was willing to just take on the world. By the time I got into the business, although it was hard and some people, it was hard, it was very challenging. I had the proper thinking now that I knew that I can endure pain and continue on. And as long as I didn't quit, I'm going to get what I want. Taught me a huge lesson. Year later, I made six figures, my first six figures ever. And took my mom to the Ritz-Carlton, gave her $1,000, for Christmas, bought my sister what she wanted, and life was starting to shift into the direction that I wanted it to. It's a crazy story.
I was just about to start clapping.
I mean, you are one of the grittiest people I've ever met. One of those things would be an excuse for somebody to pack it all in and feel like they have a good excuse and a good reason, and the world would turn around and be like, yeah, he has a good reason for packing it all in. And it's not like you were somebody who's in their 50s making this decision. You were in your 20s making this decision.
Yeah, 22.
After 22, after being slapped in the face and slapped in the face and slapped in the face over and over, and you still went forward with it. This is an incredible story. And something that you said that gave me chills was, when this all happened, I decided I was going to dedicate it to my brother's life. Wow. That's incredible. And on such a smaller scale, when Adam was incarcerated, I used to do something very similar. I would say, like, I don't want to do this workout, but I'm going to dedicate it to all of those people that are locked in cages. I will go outside in 30 degrees in New Jersey in the winter, and I will go for my run for the people who can't do it. And I think that defines gritability. And we say it all the time. Yes, we're different types of people, but you could develop a muscle. You could develop this like a muscle. You just have to work at it, and you are the prime example.
Wow, that's powerful too. I mean, yeah, I think it's all about, life's about perspective, and I think it's the way you perceive and see things through the lens that you choose to put on. Some people put on lenses of being a victim, and they see the world that way. So all their action, they start to see things that come in adversity happens to us all. But some see it as an opportunity. Some see it as the reason why they can't. Right, the reason why that's stopping them. And just like you, it was like, man, if you can see the life properly through the lens of gratitude, through the lens of knowing that it's going to work out, through the lens of faith, through the lens of knowing that, this is building me into who I need to be. This is a part of the process. I'm okay with it. I'm patient with the results. Let this like build me, break me, whatever it needs to do. So that way, when I get there, I am who I need to be in order to continue to grow this and continue to have impact that I am purposely made to have.
You are why we do this. Stories like yours defining gritability, because the reality is most people, and it's never been more relevant than right now, first sign of adversity, when things get tough, people tap out. That's the reality. So they never get the opportunity to see what they're truly capable of. That's why we love highlighting stories like yours. Like, I'm inspired. I'm ready to get up and run around. like I said, I was ready to start clapping.
Thank you.
That's what we need to hear. We need to hear. And yeah, it's tough times, but tough times make tough people, right?
Yes.
We grow through what we go through, and you are a living example of it. Man, the success that you have had since then. So you end up Christmas, Ritz-Carlton, 6-figure year. You're giving back to mom, to the family. Man, that must have felt good.
Yeah, it was amazing feeling, man. And it was just the taste of it, right? And there's a lot of adversity that I went through per year that continued to grow me. But that, some of the stuff like that year was my trainer not training me, not showing up. People, my trainer, I used to have the text, and, he was obviously just probably a little envious because I had a lot of influence and people wanted to join my team right away, even when I was a brand new agent, which is, really, that was a big thing back then. But he told me, he's like, good luck. You're gonna fail. You're not gonna be able to train these guys. You're not good at sales. It's never gonna work out for you.
Ooh.
That was the motivation that kept me up at night studying and beating on my craft more than anybody else. And that's why, that year was the separation, and why I ended up doing we did 600,000 in sales my first year. And then boom, we grew to 2.3 million in sales the next year. Then I went through a humbling season, got too big for my head. I was 24 years old and, was making hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then, I got into a car accident, almost died, was in the ICU. And these guys that I thought were there for me never showed up. And I saw who my true circle was. My purpose changed now. Instead of just making money, I was humbled, and now I realize, man, life is so short, and I wanted just to be around and invest in the people that were good-hearted people with character and were going after the right things. And my circle changed. Those guys ended up leaving the company, going to another company. Didn't even work out for them, but I don't wish any harm on them. But had to rebuild. Had a down year in 2019, and was super humbled. It was great because now that year was the year I actually had the proper heart to lead, and took the guys that I had and retrained them, redid all the gritty work, which is get in the field train, do sales, show them the way, lead from the front. I was one of the top producers that year in 2019, going through a lot of rebuild. I'm talking probably 65% of my team quit on me. That year led to some of the best people that I attracted in my business because who I was at the time. And then going from having, negative credit cards, all my cards maxed out, really not having too much money in 2019 to making over 700,000 in 2020, and grew the team back up to 3.6 million. And then I became a millionaire the year after that. And 2021. And then that was right around that time was when I was able to buy my mom her house and keep my word to her and pay off all her debts, paid off her car for Mother's Day. And, we're just getting started. My ultimate goal is to retire her. She's been unemployed for the last 4 or 5 months. So I've been able to take care of her bills and make sure that she's, she has time to not stress out and enjoy her life till she finds another career. But the ultimate goal is just to completely give her what she's making and say, hey, you never have to work again unless you want to. Go do what you want to do.
That's amazing. Definitely, it's got to feel good to be in that position, especially the commitment that you made all the way back at 16. And you've hit some pivotal highlights in your life, that were transition points. One of those things that I heard you say was about changing, how your perspective changed. You found out who your true circle was, and you started leading from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what that looks like. How did that transition happen? And, what does that mean to you now?
One of the most valuable lessons that I've learned, and my mentor gave me this quote, which I love. I have it actually printed out on my wall, but it says, the path to get what you want is to go serve. Don't make life about you. And that was the quote that I lived by in 2019, that I was like, you know what? I don't care what they think anymore. I don't care if I fail in front of my people anymore. I don't care if this goes well anymore. I have nothing to lose. All I care about is giving it my all. And I'm going to go take these people that need me, and I'm not going to think about myself, right? And be shy and not do the proper job. I'm going to completely just think about my people. And that shift took me from, an average leader to being a good leader. And it was that I want to just serve. I want to serve. I feel like greatness comes from serving. I feel like we're in a universe of opposites, which is you want to be great, you got to be humble. right? You want to lead, well, you got to serve. Well, you want to get, you have to give. You want love, you need to give love, right? It's the opposites. And I really found out that was so true in that year of being humble and making my life mission of being around good people, doing things for the right reasons, not just for my own selfish gain, but truly, truly getting lost in the service of others.
Wow.
Yeah. I love the service to others. And you mentioned John Maxwell early on in this conversation, all about servant leadership. You know, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So you leading from that aspect of being humble, being, you know, service oriented, clearly has worked out pretty well for you. You have a team of over 200 plus now. Leading that team, tell us a little bit about, because everyone, you know, sees the end result. They see your success now, and it's easy to celebrate that. They don't understand what it takes to get to that point. And we've talked about those key points in your life, but to build up to a team of 200, that's a lot of people. You know, you talked about the principles behind leading it, but tell us a little bit, how do you get 200 people to really buy in to you to be that leader?
It's a great question. I think it stems from having a great example. They got to buy you and who you are, and then they got to buy the vision, right? So one of my mottos is making leadership all about them and what they want and their goals and what their 10 years looks like and how this will help them and how I can play a role in guiding them. And that's why people join, is like our culture is humble, our culture is hungry, our culture is on a mission to do something that's outside and bigger than just money. But our motto is to grow people in all aspects of life, that in doing that, they're going to have the success in all areas and feel great. I don't want just people to make money and not be happy and not have a good community. So that's been my life mission, is to build that proper culture. And we call ourselves people first. So we put our people first, and that's not just a slogan, but a lifestyle, and we embody it. And, you know, we're not perfect by all means, but everything we do has to align with that mission. And I think that's why we've been able to attract so many phenomenal leaders, and leaders that I think are going to do way better than me, you know, because they're just phenomenal people. It's not about me. When you make it about them and you can put them in the spotlight and you make them shine, that's when that's when you can get to greatness. Is I don't want to be the king. I want to be the king maker. I want to make my people better than I could ever have. Like, my desire is not giving them what I want. My desire is to give them more than I can ever have or could even want for myself.
Wow.
Makes sense.
Yeah, this you're putting on a leadership clinic right now. Definitely speaking our language.
Thank you.
Very, very impressive. Man, everything that you've accomplished, obviously, professionally, the trajectory that you are on, the things that you are sharing with us, leave no doubt in my mind where you're headed, right? That's very, very clear. One thing,
Thank you so much.
I definitely want to circle back, because, you know, for those people who, you know, it doesn't matter what your business is, or, you know, there's a lot of people who choose to, you know, go to work every day and they have their routines and they're comfortable in that routine,
Yeah.
but they're looking for those takeaways. What are the habits, practices, principles that they can instill in their life to still have that same sense of purpose, same sense of fulfillment? For us, one of those foundational components is that personal health and well-being.
Yeah.
You know, you talked a lot about investing in your mind, that knowledge base, but I also heard you say that gym is a place that you are very comfortable. It's a place of peace. We're with you on that. Tell us a little bit about what that looks like and how that influences your daily routine.
Man, that's the gym is that discipline and you're faced with decisions to quit, to do your full set, right? I love that because I'm like having to already push through right away in the morning. So it's like if I can just win moment to moment, that's what in my eyes gets you to where you want to be. It's the moment to moment, right? You got the little angel on your shoulder, you got the little devil on your shoulder. Which one are you going to choose? And every time that you make that right decision, it builds your self-confidence, right? And the gym has a lot to do with that for myself. It's I get to make the right decisions. I get to push my mind past my limits, and I get to feel good, man. That you probably know all the science behind it, but you get a little high after, right? In a good way. I don't know if I even framed that the right way, but after you leave the gym, knowing you gave it your all, you locked in, and you're just ready to take on whatever again you have after that. So that's why I love the gym so much. And then you feel great about yourself. You're healthy. Has a lot to do with the body and the mind connection. Has a lot, right? It's your gut. It's like if you're healthy, you're slim, you're eating right, and you're working out, you're going to be able to think properly. And I think that carries on to anything that you're going to do in life, including relationships.
We are so with you on that. Absolutely. I love what you said about the angel and the devil, that conversation that's going on. But the more that you choose, to push through, that angel gets bigger and bigger. That
Yeah.
little voice over there gets smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
You also brought up Ed Milet, that one more.
Hmm.
And, we're big fans. And Ro came to me. We work out together every day. So
Love that.
it's not
Awesome.
only, building that mental component, it's foundation of our relationship, right? Like we get to do that
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
And, we started bringing that to the workouts. One more.
Till it
Wow.
wasn't one more rep. He tells me after the fact, oh yeah, we're gonna do one more whole set. And I'm like, what? Like the whole entire circuit or whatever we were doing that
That's
day.
awesome.
Yeah.
And
That's great.
and that's where those relationships come in, where it's
Yeah.
so important to build your circle, to have that team, to have that support. When you started out at the beginning of this interview talking about the responsibility that you took on to be the man of the house when your father left, to take on all that additional weight and make commitments to your family, to the people that are closest to you. And clearly you've followed through, you've kept those commitments. Man, you must have a really amazing team. And I'm just curious at this point. I said, our relationship, that's key to everything that we do on a daily basis. Who's on that team and how do they keep you in the day to day? How do they inspire you? How do they keep you motivated and pushing forward?
It's a great question. Some of my best friends, people that I've just seen grow and push themselves. And when you see your people doing that, you just don't want to let them down, right? Just like you have your wife there. It's like I'm not married, so they are I feel like that is my like wife, right? My business is way bigger than just me. It's not just this thing that where I go and I make money. Like when I tell them that when they come in and they're going to be successful, I really truly mean that. And I'm going to give them my best effort if they give their best effort. So the ones specifically are like Daniel Rock, Michael, like these guys, Jesse Holland. So, I can go on and on about these people, but they're literally like my blood, my family, and I don't want to let them down. So that helps me. Like something that I literally speak every day is like, I am the best version of myself so I can lead my people properly and be the leader that I need to be for them, to help them become the best version of themselves, to help them achieve everything that they want. And I align my schedule with doing that. So when you focus on helping people get what they want, you get what you want automatically. And I think bringing in that real connection and relationship, making it bigger than just work for me, has given me that passion and desire to really, again, continuously serve, continuously grow so I can add more value to them. If that makes sense.
Oh, that
perfect
makes
sense.
perfect, absolutely perfect sense. And I know we're winding this thing down. I am leaving here inspired this morning. It's been a lesson on servant leadership.
Yeah.
The key to getting everything you want is to help enough other people get what they want. I heard that repeatedly. Man, thank you so much, David, for coming on here, for sharing, first of all, your personal experiences. Like when we talk about gritability, this is what we're talking about. Your story inspires us, and I'm sure it's going to inspire all of our listeners. Man, it's been great spending time with you here this morning.
Great
Oh.
spending time with you too, Adam and Ro. This has been amazing. I love doing
Absolutely.
this.
Yeah.
Well, we've had a great time. We hope that you will come back as you continue your upward trajectory. Keep on pushing forward, growing that team. We're here. We're rooting for you. We love everything that you're doing, everything that you stand for. And this has been another incredible episode of Gritability, the power of perseverance, overcoming seemingly insurmountable odds to attain the life of your dreams. Adam Clausen, Ro Clausen, your podcast host, and David Carpenter. Amazing story. We'll see you back here next time on Gritability.